Subchapter 4.4. Diggs returned to the surveillance footage once more, as he was unsatisfied with the open-ended question he was left with the last time he studied it. The three figures in a standoff on the loading dock were a source of endless fascination, which preoccupied his thoughts even when he was away from the computers in the conference room in Salem's house. Having questioned all of the house's staff and executed Salem, he felt no closer to resolving the incident of the stolen tribute train than when he had begun. The thought of facing Naboo without closure that justice had been served unsettled him, as he had no desire to share in Salem's fate. He paused the image at the point when the mysterious hooded man appeared, holding a gun on the other two, one human, the other Ubinian. But who was the third man? Diggs tapped the man's head on the screen. Zoom in and enhance. The hooded figure's head and shoulders filled the screen, and then the overall image sharpened a bit, still unclear from the effects of the smart fogger. Even the heat signature in the infrared was diffused and scattered. Diggs was unsatisfied with the results. Upscale image resolution. Insufficient data to provide an adequate result, came the feminine voice from the computer. That damn fog. Increase creative latitude and raise contrast. The image rose in brightness again, and its fuzziness coalesced into a recognizable arrangement of darks and lights. The person's hood covered most of his face, leaving areas of his cheek and jaw visible. Diggs noticed a detail on this figure that had previously been hidden from view due to the fog. Lines, seams ran down from his temples to cheeks, also on his wrist and hand that held the gun. The truth struck Diggs with a hammer blow. Android. Diggs jumped from his seat. Where is Caretaker Pym? Bring her to me at once. Diggs's assistant consulted his handheld. Pym is currently assisting TechBot Odie in the stadium. How? Who gave them clearance? Apparently, you. I gave no such clearance to anyone. Perhaps so, but they have been cleared at 2 checkpoints on the authority of your name. She hacked the system. Diggs shook his head and chuckled, now marveling at the caretaker's sophistication and ingenuity. This is no ordinary android. She has a deception program and knows how to use it. What is she after? Any ideas? The assistant shook his head. Unknown. Diggs thought again, down a different path. And where is her ward, Magi? In her room. He stared at the image on the screen a little longer, his thoughts wandering. How neglectful of her to leave Magi behind. I expected more from an android caretaker. Odie followed Catherine down the service lane. When she stopped at a storm drain and knelt to the pavement, he was baffled at its importance. The drain was covered by a long, heavy metal grate, which Catherine grasped with both hands. She pulled it off its recessed resting place, reached in and grabbed a long black object. She held it up. Odie gasped. A gun. Catherine examined the rifle for any signs of wear and tear. This was the same rifle that Rick had tossed to her as she rode on the back of the container tug train the previous night. The time spent hidden in the storm drain was only 1 day, so the rifle was in good shape. Catherine slung it over her shoulder and reached in for more. She pulled out her sidearm in its holster and a kit belt with several pouches of various sizes. Catherine sensed Odie's curiosity as she attached her holster and belt. When I knew my capture was inevitable, I hid my gear in this place before I was found. She replaced the grate and moved on at a quick pace. Amazing. Odie trotted up to her side. So you can return at a later time and retrieve them. Catherine made a sharp turn toward a door. But now I have a new problem. I can't be seen with my weapons. Yes, you'll be regarded as an immediate threat. We will. You're no safer than me if we are seen together. Be alert. As the House of the Yellow Lantern was still closed from the previous night's fireworks, the halls and corridors were nearly deserted, their footfalls the only sounds heard. Lighting, also not needed for a time, had been dimmed, providing many areas for a stealthy approach. Only on 2 occasions did Catherine have to duck into a dark corner to evade security patrols. Odie had questions for Catherine, and as they paced down one empty corridor, he saw an opportunity to speak. "Tell me, Catherine, these 2 men you are pursuing, what was their crime?" "The human Rick is suspected of trafficking people to one of our colonies in violation of the law. The Eubenian is aiding and abetting him." "But why is he here?" "He is searching for his wife, who was taken by slavers." "Oh, I see." Catherine stopped when they approached a staircase leading to the upper levels. She pointed and said, "Up there." They kept their steps as silent as possible as they ascended, exercising patience and keeping a slow pace. Odie had more questions. "One more thing, Catherine. This man, Rick, would not his efforts to free his wife and restore his family offset his violation of transportation regulations? If you're suggesting I let him go on moral grounds, it's not that simple. It's..." Catherine broke off, deciding this was not a good time to discuss the Priority 1 program with Odie. "Just believe me when I say I don't have any choice in the matter." "Perhaps not, but until you catch him, he is a free spirit. Nobody owns him." "Yeah, I suppose you're right. Nobody." They came to the top of the stairs, where Catherine headed down the corridor to the left. "Catherine." "What now, Odie?" "Who owns you?" Catherine stopped and turned her gaze on Odie. "Do we need to talk about this now?" Odie thought about how to answer, but Catherine kept moving. When they reached the door to the computer room, Odie punched in the password on the keypad, and the door slid open, revealing a dimly lit space. Computers hummed in standby mode, waiting for commands, as no workers were in the room to assign them a task. Catherine strode up to the nearest console and placed her hand on the control pad. "This will do." She focused and reached out. "Connect and access." The screens above the console flashed and flickered. "Download all sales and client records." As the data flowed, a portion of Catherine's thought processes turned over the question, "Who owns you?" Many. IPS, the Provenance, the Priority 1 program, Master Solemn, or his successor. They all saw her value and claimed it as their own. As a product of human hands and intellect, she was expected to know her place in the equation of human-AI relations and ask no questions, raise no objections. An intelligence with no soul lacked the authority to claim equal footing with the one who did. Unlike Rick, as Odie pointed out, she was not a free spirit and will never be. The one with the soul had the freedom. When the data download was complete, Catherine was lost in thought, her hand resting over the console, frozen in the swirling synthetic synapses of her neural nets. The irony of it, she thought. The one with no soul, the slave, had been given authority by those who owned her to capture and take the freedom away from the free spirit who sought to evade her. "Catherine?" Odie's voice broke Catherine's trance. "Done," she said, and withdrew her hand. "What have you found, Catherine?" "More than you know." Catherine headed for the door with Odie close behind. "Killjoy to home. Request immediate evac for 2. Extraction point Delta, 1 click northeast of Stadium. Hostiles in area. Killjoy out." Soto cursed as he strapped on his flak jacket and checked his weapon. He kept his thoughts to himself as he assembled with the others before the hatches to the landing crafts, before briefing them on this mission. Bad enough, he was going down in a hostile zone in a grim mood, but spreading that sentiment to the other agents in his company would be irresponsible. He hated these military-style tactics, and he stewed on the thought that if Catherine had not run off to infiltrate the stadium on her own in the first place, they would not be risking their lives now to extract her robot ass from a hot zone. Kwani. Okay, one more time. Kwanakisa Fasali Rofis. Kwaniki. Sofu. Sofu. Sally. Sally. Now, all together. Quasi. Rick waved his hand. Oh, forget it. Just QR. QR leaned back in his chair at the computer in AC Ducey's main cabin. Yeah, most people give up after a few tries. Even on my world, it's too long. How'd you end up with Quasimodo? Quasimodo, really? That's as close as I'm gonna get it. So whose idea was it, Mom or Dad? On my planet, the responsibility of naming the children goes to the maternal grandmother. I was named after one of my ancestors. Well, at least we know who to blame. QR noticed a change on the computer screen at his console. In my grandmother's opinion, the name she gave me was very dignified. And what was your grandmother's name? Zamulishikini Sulaman Bupo. Right. Rick rubbed his eyes. Had enough? Or maybe you'd like to know my cousin's name. I give up. You're QR, that's it. Oh, we could go on, or we could take a look at the data from the auction house. Rick popped his head up. Decryption's done? Almost. Good enough to take a peek. Rick swung out from his bunk and dropped to the deck, forgetting about Ubini's naming conventions. He was at QR's side in 2 strides. Can we read anything? QR tapped at the console. Let's have a look. Rick pulled up a chair and sat at the edge of the seat, leaning in, focused on the screen. Text and images flickered behind static and blank areas, indicating still encrypted data. QR slid the controls, tapped and scrolled. Images clarified. What have we here? QR leaned in, the glow from the screen turning his face bright blue. Found her? Hold on. QR studied the text. Using the Bosasso's cargo offload date as a starting point. QR scrolled down. They logged in 485 prisoners that day. Yours was not the only ship they attacked. He scanned down the list of names. Here she is. Found her. Who bought her? Tell me who bought her. QR sensed Rick's impatience. Hold on, I'm coming to it. Look at the profile they created for her when they checked her in. Says here she's in good health, baby's fine. QR skimmed over her statistics, her height, weight, temperament, and related details. Okay, she was sold. Sold the same day she came in, just as I thought. To who? Tell me who it was and where I can find him. Hold on. QR read on. Huh, interesting. What's interesting? According to the record, she was sold to an anonymous buyer for… Wow. Oh my God. Rick nearly pushed QR aside to get a closer look. What? What now? Her price. The winning bid was 610 million galactic crowns. Holy cow. QR did a quick calculation in his head. That's nearly 330 million provenance dollars. Incredible. Someone wanted her and bad. I'm guessing because of her pregnancy. A 2-for-1. It increased her value, but still. 330 million? You could buy a whole ship for that. A nice one, brand new. So who's this anonymous buyer? Can't tell ya. That's why they're anonymous. QR swiped over to another page. Here's a client list. Could have been any one of those, or maybe someone not even on the list. Rick straightened with a groan. Good God, where do we go from here? QR returned to Sarah's page. There's more info on her. He scrolled down to the bottom of her page, where he noticed a small line of red text and leaned in to read it. What do we have here? Rick also leaned in. What is it? A notation on Sarah. Rick and QR read the notation together. Rick's eyes widened in disbelief as the text's full meaning sank in. QR, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Within 60 seconds, AC Doocy powered up and rose from its hiding place in the cave, pushed through the torrent of water that spilled over the cliff above, and streaked upward into the sky at full throttle. Catherine led Odie down a dark, silent corridor on light feet, her eyes and ears at full sensitivity. When she spoke, her voice was low, almost a whisper. "We must quicken our pace. The landing crafts will arrive at the pickup point in 12 minutes. What happens if we are late? We don't get off Dukas." Odie nearly broke into a run. "We can't be late." Catherine placed a restraining hand on Odie's shoulder. "Do not run yet. If we are seen running, that will raise suspicions. Wait until we get out." Odie slowed to a quick walk. Right. As they neared the stadium's rear, the interior became more industrial and utilitarian. The smooth walls gave way to uneven wired mesh, fencing, conduits, vents, and tubing. The building's vital organs, normally hidden from public view, were now exposed in this area, allowing easy access for maintenance workers and tech bots. They passed by panels and passageways, places to squeeze in and repair wiring and circuits, plumbing and ventilation. They approached a T-intersection between their corridor and another. Catherine came to a sudden halt, her head tilted at a slight angle, listening. Odie stopped. "What is it?" "Footsteps. Many." A moment later, Odie heard them as well. "Yes, I think at least 6 men." 8. Catherine looked around. Her eyes fell on an opening in the fence wall to her right, which gave access to a maintenance area with a control box and a fixed ladder mounted against the wall. She darted inside, her voice an urgent whisper. "Get in here. Hide." Catherine and Odie vanished into the shadows of the maintenance zone as the footsteps approached and crouched behind a raised platform beneath the control box. From this area, they were able to see the newcomers. A security officer led a detail of 6 guards in black uniforms who formed a square around an 8th individual. All guards were armed. The group stopped at the wall where they faced the doors to a lift. The officer in charge waved his hand across a panel on the wall beside the doors to bring the elevator to their floor and waited. The hum of a distant motor echoed down the elevator shaft. Odie watched the men and understood what was happening, as he had seen this activity before. He activated his internal transmitter and sent a voice signal on a tight beam at Catherine. He made no sound. "Catherine, can you hear me on this frequency?" "Yes." "This is a prisoner transfer. It was scheduled for this time today." "They are waiting for the lift. When they're gone, keep moving." "Understood." Catherine became aware of the delay building up, waiting for the corridor to clear. But as she had noticed, the guards were all heavily armed, as was she. To attempt to pass by them without drawing their attention was an unrealistic expectation, as well as foolish and reckless. Better to stand by in hiding and wait. Once they leave the stadium and are on the streets, they will have to run to make up for lost time. Having the landing crafts stop and loiter at the pickup zone while waiting for them would endanger many agents' lives. The guards shifted on their feet as they waited for the elevator to come to a stop. Catherine's thoughts on their escape route vanished when she caught a glimpse of the prisoner in the middle of the group. A guard had stepped to one side, scanning down the hall for possible threats. In doing so, a gap opened, revealing the woman in the middle. Catherine saw her blonde hair and blue eyes, clearly visible at their distance, not more than 10 feet. In milliseconds, her facial recognition database struck on a match. But she did not need it. One look at the woman's pregnant condition was all the information Catherine needed. She sent a signal to Odie. "Odie, the prisoner they are escorting." "Yes?" "She is Sarah McCabe." "That fellow's wife? The one he is looking for?" "Yes." Catherine saw the look on Sarah's face, the fear and apprehension. The lamb being led to the slaughter, except the slaughter never comes. "Where are they taking her? Where will the transfer take place?" "On the rooftop landing pads." The elevator dropped from above and came to a rest on their level, right beside the maintenance area where Catherine and Odie hid. The guards waited for the doors to open as Catherine thought fast. She realized that the maintenance area in which they were hiding was devoted to the elevator and its functions. She noticed the ladder fixed against the wall and saw that it led up to the elevator shaft and the top of the lift, allowing workers to perform maintenance on the gears and wheels that drove and suspended the lift. The doors to the elevator opened, and the guard detail escorted Sarah in. Catherine transmitted to Odie. "Odie, follow me and do not make a sound." "Right behind you." Catherine waited for her chance, a window of opportunity that would last mere seconds. If she moved too soon, she would be seen. Too late, and she will miss the opportunity and lose Sarah. It is vital to be absolutely quiet. You must be fast as well as silent, completely silent. Understood. Catherine watched for the last guard to step in, disappearing from her angle of view. The next instant, she flew up the ladder on soft feet with Odie close behind. The lift began its ascent as Catherine and Odie swung from the ladder to the top of the elevator, making no sound. They clung to the elevator's framework as it rose upward, picking up speed. Odie had a question. "Catherine, what about the rendezvous with your agent friends?" "A change in plans." Catherine turned her eyes upward to see the top of the shaft. They were rising from the stadium's lowest level to the rooftop. A long way to go.